Within hours of his arraignment in Miami federal court on Tuesday, Donald Trump was back at his Bedminster property for a fundraiser, where the perpetually aggrieved, twice impeached, and twice indicted former president donned his customary cloak of victimhood. While Trump's tone was the same, the content was slightly different and a lot more dangerous.
They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. It's very simple. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. They want you silent. And I am the only one that can save this nation because you know they're not coming after me, they're coming after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way, and I will never be moving.
Joining me now, Ruth Ben-Ghiat, New York University history professor and author of Strong Men, Mussolini to the Present. Ruth, as always, thank you very much for coming to the show. Just here, I read the words in the newspaper, but to hear him say them is rather chilling. And what stood out to me is his conflation of his legal woes with the grievances of the people who follow him. This is classic authoritarian, isn't it?
Yes, you've stated it very nicely, the conflation of his personal legal troubles with the nation. And what he's doing now is he is a cult leader. Jonathan, I think you know, I feel he's a cult leader. He's not a conventional politician. And he even got thousands of people to assault the Capitol to save him. But that was some time ago. So he's got to keep those bonds refreshed. How do you do that? Because he's in such trouble, he fears people will turn away from him. So he's making them the victims as well. They're not coming after me, they're coming really after you. This is quite brilliant as a demagogue tactic. And of course, it's extremely dangerous. I do see it as incitement language. He wants them to be so worried about their fate that I don't know what he's going to have another coup, but that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to keep them on edge and feel like they're going to lose everything if they don't somehow bring him back to power.
And each time Donald Trump gets indicted, his poll numbers go up. There was a poll that was released yesterday by Marist that shows his standing went up 8 points. And as you see on the screen there's a new Quinnipiac poll taken while the indictment was being released and unsealed. And it shows that Trump is the leading Republican presidential candidate in the primary race by 30 points. You see it there, 53%. You call him a cult leader. But is there an even stronger word for somebody who has such a hold on a major political party in this country? Are all those people followers in this cult for real?
When I use the word cult, I'm really referring to an authoritarian leader cult. And Jonathan, I feel like my book is coming to life because the victimhood complex is crucial. Mussolini used it, Hitler used it, all of the people I study use it. And it's very compelling because he's not only a brute, he's not only the defender of the nation, but he's vulnerable. He's under distress. And you hear quotes from people who attend his rallies and they say, he's been through so much, he needs us. So the strongman is both the brute, but he's also vulnerable. And this combination, this duality, is really compelling to people psychologically. And it's worked for 100 years to keep people tethered to the leader.
It's interesting you say he is vulnerable, and yet he is in a campaign for president again with a bunch of other candidates who aren't really taking the gloves off and trying to exploit that vulnerability. And part of this, what's happening here is that, I think it was yesterday, there was a new development in the race. The Republican candidate, Asa Hutchinson, the former governor of Arkansas, was rebuked by the RNC for not wanting to take the, quote, loyalty pledge and support the eventual Republican nominee, with the RNC senior advisor Richard Walters saying, quote, candidates who are complaining about this to the press should seriously reconsider their priorities and whether they should even be running. Is there Is there any way to stop this authoritarianism when folks who try to exploit those vulnerabilities are smacked back by people who should know better and are in positions of power themselves?
It's very difficult, in part because we have a bipartisan system, which used to be, lauded as and praised as part of our stability, but now is a huge structural problem because people who perhaps want to get out of the Trump cult don't have anywhere else to go. And we talked about the followers, but this is a party that he domesticated with astonishing speed. Because in other cases in history, like whether it's Mussolini who founded fascism or Berlusconi who just died, founded Forza Italia, they created the party. And so it made sense that they were the total masters. But here, this is a grand old party that Trump took hold of and put under a kind of authoritarian submission. And when a party is that tethered to the leader, it's very difficult unless that leader goes down. The only thing that did it in Italy is that Berlusconi was convicted and banned from politics for 5 years. So prosecution sends a message that truly no one is above the law, and then parties and politicians have to act.
Let me get you on one more thing, Ruth, because yesterday, the man who killed 11 worshipers and injured 7 others at Pittsburgh's Tree of Life Synagogue in 2018, the deadliest anti-Semitic attack in U.S. history, was found guilty on all 63 felony counts, including federal hate crimes charges. One of the things that was so central to that case was the hate that was roiling within him, and how that happened at the time in the middle of Donald Trump's presidency. Can you please talk about how the Tree of Life Synagogue murders is tangentially related to the atmospherics around Donald Trump?
Yeah, atmospherics is a good word. So what strongmen like him do is they come in and they address themselves to every form of extremists. They create like a big tent. So you have racists who hate black and brown people. You have anti-Semites. You have neo-Nazis. All of these people found a place in Donald Trump's movement. And it was important that he called it a movement at the beginning, because there are extremists such as lone wolf actors who don't like parties and establishments. You have anti-government extremists. They don't maybe like parties. They like movements. And so there's a reason that hate crimes of all types, anti-Black, anti-Asian, anti-Semitic, all skyrocketed during Donald Trump's presidency, because he gave out the message that he rewarded lawlessness, that he appreciated lawlessness. And that was the point of him saying he could stand on Fifth Avenue and shoot someone and not lose any followers. That was clear from January 2016.